This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
The federal government has transferred the share of its 40% shareholding in electricity distribution companies, DisCos, from the Bureau of Public Enterprises to the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI. In December 2023, BPE had announced its intention to sell the 40% shares on the capital market this year. MOFI is the federal government's investment vehicle with the mandate of diversifying Nigeria's economy and making it more prosperous and optimized for investment and growth. Our guest this morning is Adeola Yusuf, team lead at Platform Africa, who joins us to discuss the implications of this and why it's important. Good morning, Mr. Yusuf, and welcome to the conversation.
Good morning, Nabila. It's my pleasure to be on the program.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Let's start off with your reaction to the sale of this 40% shares to MOFI.
Okay. You agree with me that this is not the first time the government is putting up, assets in the distribution, companies for sale. Remember that before 2013, government was owing 100% in the power holding companies of Nigeria, or Company of Nigeria, before it sold the 60% to, the private entities. Now we have a change of name to DisCos. So now government has been, sitting on 40% through the Bureau of Public Enterprise since then. The question you ask is that, has there been any different? Has government been able to achieve its aim and objective for selling the 60%? The reason they have put forward is, economy. Is there any need for the government to, in a bid to boost economy, sell assets in the power holding in the distribution, companies in Nigeria, 11 of them. Generally speaking, you will see that Nigeria economy needs some kind of injection, but I don't want to believe that it has to come through the sale of that 40% of, shares that we have in the distribution companies. Reason being that you don't sell everything because of the fact that you don't sell everything you have as inheritance and keep, bearing children. We have, responsibility over those that we are, the children that we are bearing, over those that we are bringing to life as Nigerians. We have responsibility to leave something behind for them. And I think we have sold 60%, leaving 40% for them is not too much. But we are not in government. All we just do is to just say, here have you. But if only what we have to sell is that 40%, I can say the government can go ahead. But there's still a lot of things that government can, put up for sale. Not necessarily, this, 40% shareholding that we have in the power distribution, companies across Nigeria.
Mr. Yusuf, I apologize for cutting you short, but now that the sale has been made, what does this mean for the DisCos?
It means that, the DisCos are going to be 100% owned by private entities. Before now, just like I said earlier, it's 60% that we have those private entities, laying claim to after the November 1st, 2013, privatization of, the distribution, part of the power value chain. So what it's going to mean is that, no government claim will be laid on distribution companies any longer. It's going to be privately owned. Whether this is going to now, improve efficiency and productivity at that, end of the value chain is an entirely different kettle of fish. But, fundamentally, what that is going to mean is that, distribution companies in Nigeria, distribution, stratum of the Nigerian power value chain is going to be 100% owned by, private entities.
Well, Mr. Yusuf, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your thoughts on the conversation. Our guest, Mr. Adeola Yusuf, is team lead at Platform Africa, joining us to discuss the transference of shares, 40% of shares by the Bureau of Public Enterprise. This is shares that were held in DisCos have now been transferred to the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the suspension of all programs being overseen by the National Social Investment Program Agency, NSIPA. A statement from the presidency revealed that the N-Power program, Conditional Cash Transfer Program, Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, and the Homegrown School Feeding Program have been suspended for a period of 6 weeks in the first instance. Now, this move is to allow for thorough investigation into all the programs overseen by the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edu. Joining us this morning is Mukhtar Modibo, the Secretary General of Follow the Money. Mr. Modibo, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation. Would like to start with your reactions to the federal government's suspension of the social intervention programs.
To be honest, it's something I am happy about, and it's something I look forward to what will be done, because as a civil society person, what I look at is these programs are good. They are programs that will benefit people. They are programs that would uplift vulnerable people. But I think we need to streamline who are the beneficiaries, what is the selection process, and what is the transition conversation. And we also need to strengthen monitoring and evaluation of data management, efficient payment system, and increase engagement with the beneficiaries, as well as, policy integration, innovation and technology, and impact measurement of that issue, as well as issues of zero tolerance to fraud. Collaboration need to be increased and what have you. So with what the president has done, if things that I mentioned can really be measured, I think it's something we should be happy about, because we're going to see how people will benefit from it, rather than few people within the sector benefiting from it. And if you look at what has been happening over time, you could not see that the ministry has been undergoing a lot of scandal, from the former minister to the suspended minister to the CEO within the ministry. So I think something needs to be done. The loopholes need to be blocked so that we can see more engagement.
This isn't, the first time we saw this, the president suspend something under this ministry was the conditional cash transfer, right? Shortly after, it was reinstated, although with a slightly different tinge where the states were supposed to take on a more active role. If you consider how that turned out, what sort of expectations do you have of this review?
So if you look at the people that were assigned to really look into reviewing and investigating these issues are the coordinating minister of economy, as well as the coordinating minister of health and welfare, minister of information, and some other communication and digital economy, and some other people. So these are people with proven level of experience, from the minister of health to the minister of economy to the communication. These are people that have really been part of system like that can show us what will really happen. So what I look forward in the review, like I said, is how can this program be really beneficial to people, and how can these beneficiaries be streamlined? How can effective engagement and measurement of of the beneficiaries, how can the impact of the impact they have been getting, how can it be really measured? And then what are the selection process? And another thing is, some people benefit from this thing, and then they are not being informed what are the transition level, so that another people can benefit, and then these people can graduate, and what are the points that can be done. So for me, I see, and I want to see an entire process of new process of review that will enable people to benefit from the state program, and also move out of the poverty line that we want them to.
Our guest this morning is Mukhtar Modibo, the Secretary General of Follow the Money and Connected Development. We're speaking to us this morning about the suspension of the federal government's suspension of programs under the National Social Investment Program Agency.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
This is Now Breakfast.
You're still listening to Now Breakfast on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Up next is the Newsmaker segment. On the Newsmaker this morning, our Newsmaker this morning is Femi Odugbemi. He's a writer, filmmaker, television producer, and the founder and executive producer of Zuri 24 Media, a content production company. Mr. Odugbemi is a voting member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the Oscars, and the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, the Emmys. He's a former president of the Independent Producers Association of Nigeria, and he was a 4-time head judge for the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards. He's a 3-time head juror of the Uganda Film Festival, juror of the Johannesburg International Film Festival in South Africa, and a juror as well as mentor of the Netflix UNESCO African Folktales Reimagined project. Radio Now's Nabila Osman sat down with Mr. Odugbemi for a conversation on the role of the creative in creating a better Nigeria. Mr. Odugbemi opens by answering the question of how patriotism for Nigeria must be rooted in self-interest.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do believe that patriotism and love of country are critical. Because without love of country, the impulse cannot be there to dedicate your talent, to improve it, to defend it, to even wish it prosperity. And imagination decides everything. The future is always first and foremost a picture in the human mind. And nothing can compel my satisfaction or alignment with the reality if I do not identify in it my best self-interest. So patriotism and love of country is first of all from a place of self-interest. And the nations that are most successful at harnessing the love and fidelity of their citizens do so by prioritizing a narrative of equity, equality, opportunity, human freedoms, and of course, economic prosperity. Beyond the flag, the national anthem, national pledge, what is an articulated vision of Nigeria today that a young child can embrace? Imagination engineering starts from the children's programming on our TV, from the curriculum in our schools, from how the history of the country is, and the narratives of sacrifice of generations past. The heroes of our country, and of course our capacity to also consider the difficult parts of our history, all form a clear vision of our future. That's the narrative that I think is important for us to put together, to be able to situate in there the hopes and aspirations of our individual citizens. For Nigeria, there are too many questions in the minds of people left unanswered, and that makes the concept of patriotism something of a difficult ask. When our young people japa or imagine a better life elsewhere, they are responding only to the deliberate construct of that nation's promise. This is something that I think we have to take far more seriously in shaping what vision we have for our country. What is the Nigerian story?
There's an argument that one can only dream when one is safe, whether financially, physically, or emotionally. Some creatives believe that to dream of a better Nigeria is like a betrayal of what Nigeria has done to them. How would you respond to this perspective?
I really think we do ourselves a disservice when we utter phrases like Nigeria happened to you, or Nigeria happened to someone or something, when we want to negatively infer how the failures of our institutions and systems impact our individual dreams and plans. Nigeria will not become better because we make fun of our failures. And really, we are being foolish when we speak of the country in the third person as if it is not you and I who actually make up the country. I say that because it's a sly way of avoiding the tough work we all need to do to reclaim the initiative to challenge and engage the system at every level so we can expose the rot, provide pathways for best practices and the technology solutions we need to reduce the impact of human errors and mischief, which are really the things that basically dog our processes. It's a real shame that we have so politicized our challenges to ridiculous dimensions. The real blessing of a vibrant creative community is that through our art, our films, our stories, and characters, we can reinvent our future, expose what's not working, and model ideas of what could be alternative options. Above all, Nigerians are in dire need of heroes and heroines and that we can believe in, who can inspire us to build a better Nigeria for our children than we met. The real tragedy of Nigeria is that we have found all our giants in real life. We have found that our giants are feet of clay. And we need imagination engineering of our storytellers to model leadership characters that resonate with our own best hopes and dreams. So showcasing what we already know only deepens our despair. And truth be told, all nations and societies are always a work in progress. And that to me is the real opportunity our creative industry is missing. To be at the vanguard of that change, to help us all imagine it at the different levels of consciousness is so vital. So we can fan the embers of hope and transformation.
So I hear you. I mean, on the other hand, some of those who dream of a better Nigeria are accused of not understanding it enough or being influenced by a Western perception of, quote, better. How do you approach this perspective?
Well, I choose to be an optimist always in the matter of Nigeria. And I always ask my friends, what is the alternative? What is the value of despair? But I truly think that when you dream of a better Nigeria, it is not that you don't understand it enough. It is that you understand its possibilities. There's a lot of people who I think, accentuate the narratives of our realities, when in fact the possibilities of our future should excite all of us. There is work to be done without a doubt. And that is why for me, building the narrative of possibilities is why our creative industries are so critical and important. So that, the fundamental challenges that we need to process, we need to understand, and the things that we need to negotiate, perhaps we can do them first via the virtual scenarios of storytelling and through fictional characters. But we know that works because you can process in the imagination of the people the things that they are most afraid of. You can provide answers. And so for me, in the minimum, the education that is provided when we have a creative industry that is navigating this question of nationhood through its stories, the advantage is that it provides an education that reduces the misinformation and the miseducation that I think complicates our national debates today.
I want to go back to your advocacy on the link between imagination engineering and nation building. It doesn't seem to be specific on where government comes in and what they need to do. Do you believe there's a role for the state in creating this future? If so, what's your vision?
Oh, certainly. I believe that the state our leaders, the government, at every level, plays a crucial role in imagination engineering. Governance is always about narratives and about the intentionality of that narrative. You can't lead people to a place that you can't explain to them. Without a vision, people perish. And that's why I think it's so important. Government is so important in forging what is, what the future is in terms of the narrative of the country. And I think the body language of leaders, is also a narrative. And we see that obviously in how people react to the level of waste, the priorities that seem to bedevil our budget processes. For me, there's a lot of work to be done quickly because we have to focus on building the right narrative to drive our national vision of a future that's better than our past. It's also about the kind of investments that governments and leaders are making, which signposts, are priorities. Science, education, and research, that's imagination engineering. We need to expand investments in science education, in research, because those are the things that nurture creativity and innovation. Expanding affordable access to technology, broadband, and pushing the benefits of e-governance, for instance, where the governance process can be free of human error and corruption. It is in itself the kind of intentional engineering we need in governance. It sends a message, it creates a narrative. Of course, additionally, creating supportive policies, funding initiatives, and collaborating with industries can translate, the imaginative ideas of startups and technology advocates into tangible advancements. My vision involves, proactive governance at every level that empowers its citizens through education, providing resources for research and development, good healthcare, and ensuring a conducive environment for imagination-driven progress.
Something else you've written on is the political economy of narratives and stereotypes. It could be said that one answer to that is the recently created Ministry of Creative Economy, in many ways an indication of the vast potential of this sector. Do you have any expectations of it?
Yes. I am actually very excited about the possibilities of the new Ministry of Creative Economy. I think it's a groundbreaking move that this new administration decided to reconfigure the Ministry of Arts and Culture to now be known as the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy. I hope the change fundamentally goes beyond nomenclature because it suggests a more robust understanding of the possibilities and potential of our creative sector. The sector encompasses, visual and performing arts, literature, films, broadcasting, photography, fashion. It's a very large space. And yes, it's deserving of, a ministry that can create the enabling environment for the creative sector to actually bring to the economy, the kind of non-oil revenue that is sustainable, that creates jobs, that builds, the kind of, income and into the GDP that I think we all know, is a possibility. I hope first and foremost that the new ministry can finally bring to our creative industry important data and analytics in areas like the market dynamics, existing infrastructure, what is the talent pool, project funding, just so much in terms of potential growth areas that I think such a ministry can really be valuable to pursue. The most important thing is I hope that the minister and the ministry focus on technology, focus on evidence-based decision making, in terms of project financing, distribution, audience viewing data, preferences. And there's just so many, gaps in the economy of the creative industries in Nigeria that is preventing other sectors like, the financial community, the banking industry, to be able to provide the right kind of support for our industry. So I'm hopeful that the ministry will close those gaps and help us create the kind of systemic support that I think, will be important to sustain our progress and to build growth.
And so just finally, we come to you, Femi Odugbemi, creator, artist, writer. What's your version of a better Nigeria?
Oh, my vision for better Nigeria. Creativity is at the core of our progress. I always dream of a nation where the arts, the sciences, and technology converge to drive innovation. A better Nigeria to me is one that invests in robust education, one that nurtures creativity, supports diverse technology industries, and fosters an inclusive environment where hopefully every citizen's unique ideas contribute to the country's growth and prosperity. I yearn for a humane society that is at peace with itself and the world.
And that's our newsmaker this week on Now Breakfast. My name is Stephen Imediegu, and that was Femi Odugbemi speaking with Radio Now's Nabila Usman on the creative and Nigeria. The rest of our conversation on Now Breakfast continues in just a moment when we turn to the community on Community Watch. Do stay with us.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM.